On this edition of Southern Newsweek, COVID vaccination rates hit 90% across the south, while vaccine passports are launched nationwide, and a handful of teens had a lucky escape from a serious accident. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. There were celebrations in the south recently as the region cracked the COVID-19 90% double vaccination milestone. The Southern District Health Board became the 5th health board in New Zealand and the 2nd in the South Island to reach the figure.
The man leading the Southern DHB's vaccination rollout is pleased the region has reached 90% vaccination against COVID-19.
So exceptionally proud of all our partners who've worked so tirelessly to get us there. It's phenomenal.
He says pretty much everyone has got in the waka and is generally rowing in the same direction.
Getting over the 90% is fairly and squarely down to our public, to the people of the South, from Oamaru to Rakiora, who have had the courage to want to protect the ones they love.
However, he says their main focus is bringing tangata whenua up from 87% to 90% fully vaccinated.
We need to be very mindful that our most vulnerable population, our Māori population, are not quite at 90 yet, so we've really got to give it a final push. We're close. We've got to do about 65 a day to get there by Christmas. So that's really the big goal now is 90% double vax Māori.
SDHB COVID-19 vaccine rollout program lead Karl Metzler says the southern vaccination drive isn't over yet, as there is still a lot of disinformation around, especially in Māori communities.
My advice would be try and avoid going down the rabbit holes, seek out good, solid information from reliable sources, valid sources, and talk to your mates, talk to your whānau, talk to trusted Māori that you know have the knowledge and the expertise to give you the good information.
He admits it can be scary, but says it's not a time to judge or be divisive, but to sit and chat with people. The Southern DHB is doing slightly better than the national average, as nationwide 88% of the eligible population is fully vaccinated. In Dunedin, the South Today.
As the government's new traffic light COVID management system came into place, hospitality industries were bracing for change. One Dunedin bar was cautiously welcoming the vaccine pass and the challenges that would come with it.
A window display to hammer the point home. Any punters wanting a drink in Dunedin's Wolf Bar will need to show their vaccine pass if they want to quench their thirst. The Stewart Street Bar isn't alone, with hospitality businesses around the country requiring patrons to show their vaccine passes when drinking or dining on site. That would allow businesses to operate in conditions similar to the current Level 1 restrictions. For bar owner Josh Thomas, working alongside the rules around the traffic light system is worth it.
So for us it's a no-brainer from a business point of view, but it's also a no-brainer in terms of the health and well-being of our staff and our patrons.
The South Island will operate under the orange light level from Friday, with the North Island a mix of orange and red. Thomas admits the change will have challenges, but is ready to adapt.
We're not quite sure how it's going to play out. We have hundreds of people through a night. A lot of people come and go. We have smokers ducking in and out. So logistically it's going to be a bit tricky, but it's just an adjustment. We'll see how it goes, we'll adjust as needed, so we're not too fazed by it.
Any businesses not wanting to follow the pass requirements will only be able to operate for contactless pickup or delivery. The South Island is expected to remain under orange light rules until at least mid-January. In Dunedin, the South Today.
5 teens had a lucky escape in Christchurch after a recent road accident on State Highway 1. Their cars collided at speed with each other, forcing one driver to lose control as his vehicle slid on its roof for more than 100 metres.
Emergency services arrived quickly at the scene of the spectacular crash on Johns Road. Station Officer Joe Stanley says the occupants of both cars were lucky to escape the crash without any serious injuries.
We've seen 2 cars, one upside down, no persons entrapped but persons injured, so we've provided medical support to the persons who are injured and made the cars safe while we waited for the police to take control of the scene.
17-year-old Oliver Korunic was one of 5 passengers in the overturned car.
So we didn't know what the f*** was happening. We had to swerve pretty hard.
He estimates their car slid over 100 metres along the motorway safety fence.
We slid for miles. Felt like it wasn't going to stop.
Stanley says the accident scene was one of the more unusual crashes he's attended.
Any motor vehicle crash has its peculiarities. Maybe this is an unusual scene potentially because of the personalities involved in the scene, but this sort of stuff, rolled cars into other cars, we see that all the time when we respond to motor vehicle crashes.
Traffic was reduced to 1 lane after the crash, resulting in long delays for motorists. In Christchurch, the South Today.
For many years, rabbits have been among the most destructive pest species in central Otago. However, pest-free pisa moorings are claiming a significant win in their war against rabbits.
The pest-free moorings group have come a long way since members recall feeling the earth moving with vermin beneath them.
Pest-free pisa moorings started out when I moved here 2 years ago. We would go for a walk and the whole ground would move with rabbits. And I thought, oh, this is not good.
2 years down the track, they say they've pretty much annihilated the population. However, they've used what they call a humane form of chemical warfare.
Gas called magtoxin. So how that works, it's a very humane way of dealing with these rabbits. So obviously the rabbits are down in the burrows. We drop these magtoxin tablets down the burrows and it sets off a gas. Starves the rabbit of oxygen. We add water, cover the burrow up, and it starves the rabbits of oxygen and kills them very quickly.
The community is thankful for a host of sponsors, including the local Mount Pisa Vineyard, Fulton Hogan, and more. Pest-free pisa moorings also asked each household for a $100 donation towards rabbit stops.
The rabbit stops will be worth about $4,000. There's one, $2,000 each end, so that's 4. And then we spent $3,000 on ferret traps, and probably another couple of grand on magtoxin and things like that.
Speaking at a community celebration this week, Stu Taylor says it's roughly $10,000 well spent. And the residents' efforts caught the attention of the region's mayor, with Tim Cadogan showing his appreciation.
Well, it's absolutely fantastic to come here to a community that looked at a problem, saw it as their own, owned it and went, we're going to fix it. And that really is what it was all about today, that a group said, we can do this. They got the supporters behind them, they got the finance behind them through some really good sponsorship, and then they put the work in, about 500 hours they reckon.
The community's officially opened rabbit stops, which are like a cattle stop but smaller, on the local cycle trail and at either end of their subdivision. In Central Otago, the South Today.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek, the Dunedin City Council invests $7 million into a community housing complex, and anti-coal protesters shut down the Dunedin railway station, disrupting a passenger train trip. Welcome back. The Dunedin City Council has invested $7 million into the city's Peimaira community housing complex. The project began last year and is set to wrap up early in the new year, providing healthy homes for council tenants.
Providing healthy homes for those in need.
So this is a great opportunity for us to have some fully accessible ground floor units for those people on our wait list that have those kinds of needs.
The DCC and Cook Brothers Construction have been working hard to refurbish more than 30 units in stages at the Palmyra complex in Carroll Street. Cook Brothers won the contract for the project, and while the site manager has done a lot of apartments, he's managed to grow his skill base as well as promoting other workers.
So we've upgraded about 38 units so far, with a variation to do another 4. So we've been here since February the 10th last year. Consistently doing the same apartment for 2 years.
Cook's project manager Blair Stewart appreciates working on a large project like this for more than just financial reasons.
And at the end of the day, we're a construction company. We're here to make money, but it's not all about that. It's about, trying to give something back to the community, and we feel that we have here. Like the I guess the state of the units to begin with was, I guess not ideal, definitely past the use by date. So they're all brought up to the healthy home standard now. They actually exceed, I guess, the minimum requirements.
The council says the work at Palmyra is just part of its work upgrading the city's 900 plus social housing dwellings.
So this whole project has cost us about $7 million for 40 units. It's about 180k on each unit that we've spent. But we've got a decent budget to spend over the next few years to upgrade all 936 that we've got at the moment. Units across the city, make sure they're all compliant with healthy home standards.
David Bainbridge-Zaffer says there's an increasing demand for social housing in the city. Earlier this year, the DCC voted to spend another $20 million to build more units to help reduce the waiting list. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A passenger train trip was cancelled after anti-coal activists shut down the Dunedin railway station. But protesters say that was never their intention. Protester Bruce Mahalski was among those arrested and trespassed on the day.
8 members of the environmental group Extinction Rebellion were arrested after blocking a coal train across St Andrew Street about 7:20 a.m. on Saturday.
With a bunch of sort of like-minded colleagues, we went down and we stopped the train that goes through Otepoti Dunedin pretty much every day around this time of year, taking around, it's usually around 28 carriages of coal, about 500 tonnes altogether, from the Takatimu mine down Ojai, and then goes to Clandy Boy, the big Fonterra milk factory.
About 20 people were on the tracks outside Dunedin railway station and north of the St Andrew Street level crossing, both in front and behind the train. Protester Bruce Mahalski was among those arrested and says they object to coal being used, saying Fonterra is one of the major polluters who plans to use coal for at least another decade.
They burn it, and that 500 tonnes a day turns into about 1,100 tonnes of atmospheric carbon, and they're doing that to turn liquid milk into powder for export.
He says they'd like the dairy giant to aim for 2025. The protest marks the 1-year anniversary of the group's first action to stop a coal train at Dunedin railway station. Mahalski says their protest is part of Extinction Rebellion's international efforts to shine a light on global climate issues.
The world's on fire. I'm thinking of my children, I'm thinking of their children, I'm particularly thinking of the animals, the whole biosphere. It just makes me very sad to see all these beautiful animals and plants becoming extinct.
When he's not protesting, he runs the Museum of Natural Mystery and is also coordinating a nationwide poster competition to highlight climate issues, and is hoping to inspire some action after years of talk fests.
Every year it's put off to the next year, and every year we're going to talk some more, and so it's just like the children often can cut through this, the adult, what adults can't.
Mahalski and the other 7 protesters arrested on the weekend are due to appear in court at a later date. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Dunedin's Moana House Rehabilitation Facility has been selling real Christmas trees for many years. It's the organisation's major fundraising event, but the organisation's kaiwhakahaere says it's about more than fundraising.
Trees of all sizes, ready for the hundreds of people who come and buy them each year. However, Te Kaiwhakahaere at Dunedin's Moana House says it's more about the mahi than making money from the trees.
It's always about the community connection, gives the men an opportunity to get a chainsaw ticket, a first aid ticket, and get out in the bush and do some things that many of them have never done before.
Claire Aitken's sentiments are echoed by Jason Goodwillie, who's one of the programme's many success stories, having gone through the program and is now a peer support worker.
Yeah, they get the opportunity to go out and cut the trees down, get those tickets and qualifications. But it's a really good thing when they come back in there and interact with the community, and it's their way of sort of giving back. And doing really good things for the Christmas season, especially with the families and the children.
Word has clearly spread early, as day one of trading was going well on Thursday evening, with a steady stream of people picking up trees. Typically, the income from tree sales goes to a special project. However, Aitken says that's not the case this time, due to a funding cut.
This year, unfortunately, our final order contract ends on the 10th of January, which is a really big contract for us. And so any money we earn will be going towards us being able to keep our final order work going with our final order team, and that's a huge part of what we do.
As a peer support worker, Goodwillie has completed the program, and his hours working with the team are in the final order sphere. The PSA getting the men to reconnect with whānau is rewarding and vitally important.
My role with the men, I help sort of connect the dots with, with them connecting with their whānau, extended whānau and their tamariki as well. And I get to supervise some of the visits when we go out to the community to make sure that bind is coming together.
Building connections, rebuilding connections, finding people that are able to support the person on their journey if they're not already in place, and helping resolve issues that might have made contact difficult or made it impossible in the past.
The wilding trees are sourced from rural blocks south of Dunedin and are due to be on sale at Moana House on Dunedin's High Street daily between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. until Christmas. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A Christchurch pub has a new beer on tap, but this time it's a broth. The Wigram Brewery Company is offering a drink for one of your best mates of the four-legged kind.
Lapping it up. At this pub near Wigram, while you swig on a stubby or quaff a pint of the house bitter, your best mate can also crack a can and lap up their very own doggy beer.
Today we're having a dog day afternoon. It's a chance to have a pint of beer with your best mate.
Craft brewer Paul McGurk wanted to find a way for customers to go out for a drink with their best mate.
So we made a special dog beer. It's a bone broth with vegetables and chicken and beef broth. Put it into a keg and you can pour a pint of it or take home a can.
The brewery decided to make a special dog beer, a bone broth crafted for canines. And our four-legged pals are lapping it up. It was McGurk's wife Caroline who came up with the idea of hosting a special day for having a beer with your dog as a way of getting things happening on Sundays. Reception to the new brew has been very positive, and customers like Fee Archer reckon it's great to be able to include her dog Archie in everything she does.
I think it's fantastic. It's very cool to be able for us to be able to go and socialise and have him with us. He really loves coming to the pub. He's really well behaved here. We've trained him to be good socially and to feel like we've got something here for him as well, for something doggy for him is for Archie's amazing.
The canine bone broth is just another way to enjoy an afternoon out with your four-legged friends. In Christchurch, the South Today.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek, Dunedin's Forsyth Bar Stadium grass is undergoing a rework for an upcoming World Cup. And a 9-week-old kitten has a job at the Port Chalmers Pharmacy, calming people before their vaccinations. Welcome back. Dunedin's Forsyth Bar Stadium grass has had a much needed cut, and while it's not something you'd notice on TV, the turf is undergoing a specific rework for an upcoming World Cup.
Cutting the grass to make it football ready. The lawnmowers are being put to work at Dunedin's Forsyth Bar Stadium with the first cut of the football-friendly grass. New grass was planted last month and is needed for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup, with 6 games being hosted in Dunedin.
About 16 days ago we put the seed in the ground and we've been watching it grow every day. It changes colour, which is pretty cool to see. So first cut today and now it's holding up really well.
The top 20 millimetres of turf was ripped up, exposing the artificial grass, a process which usually takes place every 2 to 3 years. Preparing for the World Cup has changed the stadium's approach, with the grass length needing to be shorter for football, as well as ensuring they get the timing right.
It'd be nice to do it next year, however we're a wee bit too close to the FIFA tournament, so we've got a nice gap this year due to a few events being delayed and pushed back, so nice wee time to grow it in. We've got about 8 to 9 weeks off to get it nice and ready, so should be good to go.
Staff will be keeping an eye on the grass and making sure it gets a trim every 2 to 3 days. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Queenstown baker Wendy Adams has whipped up some cakes for her family and charity after making it to the top 5 on the Great Kiwi Bake Off. Her return to the kitchen follows some harsh critiques from judges on the TV show.
On your marks, get set, bake. Queenstown baker Wendy Banks has been busy whipping up treats after being kicked off the Great Kiwi Bake Off, but the Scottish mum of 3 is happy and relieved to be home. Banks finished in the top 5 and is proud of herself for giving it a go.
In terms of the journey, I'm really happy with how things ended up, and actually I did better than I thought because actually while I was up there I had to take more annual leave.
Banks's regular job is working as a transport engineer. She believes her baking has improved after being on the show, having learnt from other contestants.
All our bakes had to be original, and I really like that because you can't copy off somebody from the internet, and I like that part because then you try and make up something that's unique.
In the aftermath of Bake Off, she said she was never going to bake again following some of the judges' critiques, but now she's back busier than ever, focusing her attention on charity bakes around Queenstown.
But afterwards, I thought I was either going to go to it, I thought I'm never ever going to bake again. But then the reason I'm baking is for my family and they like it, and I love it, so it's my passion, so I shouldn't really stop because of that.
Among her recent charity bakes is a fruitcake fundraiser, which has already raised more than $2,000 for the Cancer Society. In Queenstown, The South Today.
The man universally known as the Christchurch Wizard turned 89 last weekend. And in the spirit of his 47-year reign as the official Wizard of New Zealand, he's celebrated by being appointed spiritual advisor to a Canterbury bakery.
Shazam! Ian Brackenbury Channel, or Jack as he likes to be known as, is perhaps the only state-appointed wizard in the world. But being recently cast from Christchurch City Council's payroll hasn't stopped him from taking on a new official role as spiritual advisor to Kids Cakes and Bakery. The Wiz celebrated in central Christchurch today, reminiscing about his long career, and he reckons he's having just as much fun today as he did when he first started in 1974.
Absurd. It's typical of the world. The world is hilarious. People are getting more and more peculiar and stupid every day. I'm laughing all the time, and all I can do is admit that I'm not part of it. I've nothing to do with this silly nonsense. So I'm just here to have fun and amuse and lift your spirits, because I think mental health is far more important than physical health. That's my strange way. People go mad quite easily, and the world is full of maniacs at the moment.
Bakery owner Martin Meehan says people often misunderstand the Wizard's role, but believes he's still very important to the future of the city.
Yes, I do, and I think people misunderstand his role at times. They may get offended, and there's always somebody to get offended. But Jack's role is a wizard. Wizards are grumpy, curmudgeonly, contrary. This is what wizards do, and you have to accept that. But the long-term benefits to Christchurch is of saying we're the only city in the world that has a wizard.
The Wizard is set to receive free coffees for life in return for his pastoral care of the staff and management at the bakery, and this includes casting out evil spirits and upsetting fanatics of all kinds as required. In Christchurch, The South Today.
If you're a bit nervous about getting the jab, Kevin the kitten is here to help. The adorable 9-week-old Burmese ragdoll has become the star attraction at the Port Chalmers pharmacy, calming people around their vaccinations.
Might this 9-week-old kitten be cute enough to entice the most vaccine-shy of people?
And it just went down so well. All of our patients really seemed to love having him there, and it just made it a really friendly environment.
The Burmese ragdoll, named Kevin, had to join his human, student pharmacist Nicole Kennedy, at work out of necessity. But maybe the perfect solution, thanks to Kennedy having an open-minded manager.
And when we first got him, I had to come into work on Saturday because we've been working Saturdays for our COVID clinic, and I didn't want to leave him at home on his own, and so my manager here at the pharmacy, Angela, suggested to just bring him into work.
Kevin seems pretty unfazed by all the attention from strangers, and Kennedy says it makes the mandatory injection and wait time fly by. And some see him in the window, so just pop in.
Yeah, no, people seem to love it. It's been really good. Like, people have just come off the street to come give him a pat, and like people end up staying longer than they need to because they're just hanging out with him. So it's been good, and especially when you have to hang around for about 15 minutes after your vaccine, it's good to have something to entertain people while they're waiting.
After posting a photo of the fluffy feline on social media, he became an online hit. And like so many young stars, it can get a bit much sometimes.
Oh, he loves it, yeah. Every now and then he gets a bit overwhelmed and like walks off and hides, and then he comes back out and he's running around with everyone again.
Nicole Kennedy says it's really nice that people have been reaching out, and there's no sign of Kevin ever needing to pause for effect. In Dunedin, the South Today.
And that wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news and videos from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz. And you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand. Ka kite anō.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.